This is the third day of the 3-day seminars related to organized within BioRural project and related to forestry and habitat topics. This seminar is organized within BioRural project, which is Horizon Europe project, which is gathering 19 partners from 14 countries. And we, from Latvia University of Life Science Technologies and University of Coimbra, are organizing this event. This is a knowledge exchange workshop, one of the 5 workshops organized within the project. 3 of them already are organized last year and at the beginning of this year and related biochemicals, biomaterials, aquatic systems, agriculture and food. And today, as I mentioned before, about forestry and habitats. And after this seminar next month, there will be also a seminar about bioenergy. So let's keep in touch. And 16 to 18 of April, you will be also able to join the last of the seminar. So BioRural project is quite a big project. It's a 3 million project, and one of the and there are a lot of activities, and all what we are doing, we are putting in BioRural toolkit. That is a homepage. You can visit it also using QR code, which is you can see in the screen. And if you are registered there, then you can access to a lot of information, also upload your information about different interesting cases, information, funding opportunities, papers, guidelines, and etc., which are related to bioeconomy, circular bioeconomy, innovations in bioeconomy. So I invite you to use this opportunity. So during the first day, as some of you also joined this meeting from the first day, so we discussed about basic concepts, technical principles. The second day, that was yesterday, we discussed about several good practices and also successful approaches using biomass in construction and also chemical industry and energy and utilization. And today is the last day, and we are going to have 4 presentations about cross-cutting topics. And the first one is about biodiversity. After that, there will be presentation about certification from Latvian perspective. So will be the next one presentation will be about certification forestry for sustainable production from as a case study from Portugal. And the last one, it will be about interesting case study about birch bark extractives and their potential. That's how you can use wood product in very different interesting applications. So that's very briefly about who we are and what we are doing. And so now I will give the floor to the first presenter. That is Girts Baranovskis from Nature Conservation Agency of Latvia. So floor is yours.
Hello everyone, is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Girts Baranovskis. I represent Nature Conservation Agency of Latvia, and today my presentation will be regarding forests and biodiversity, and I will more focus on involvement of landowners. As we already know that wood products are a very important part of forest, but as we know, forest provides a lot of great things and services. and also EU Forest Strategy for 2030, EU Biodiversity Strategy for 2030, encourage to look at forest from different perspectives and encourage closer to nature forestry, biodiversity friendly forest management practices, and also understand, appreciate ecosystem services of forests. And in this framework, I will talk a little bit about private landowner involvement in protection of biodiversity, how private forest owners are involved in this process. And for the context, I would like to point out that half of Latvian forests are privately owned, so a lot of private forest owners, and we have more than 100,000 private forest owners. What's important that majority of those forest areas are quite small. 80% of forest owners own property smaller than 20 hectares. 50% owns smaller properties than 5 hectares. So a lot of different forest owners with different forest sizes, but a lot of small-scale forest owners. When we look at forest from biodiversity conservation perspective, and we as a nature conservation agency especially, we see that there are huge challenges. There are huge challenges regarding forest habitat conservation. According to previous reports, all EU forest habitat types are under unfavorable conservation status. And also we have challenges regarding forest species conservation. Also a lot of forest related bird species and other species are are in decline, and therefore we have to find ways how to improve forest biodiversity conservation in Latvia. And what we know that forest owners are very different and they have different opinions about this issue, and therefore it's very important to understand who are our forest owners in order to make those forests available for them so we want to make that our private forest owners are ready and capable for biodiversity conservation activities. And one more thing for context, in Latvia we do not have voluntary conservation approach utilized. We have only this regulatory approach, which means that protected area or micro reserve can be established also without consent of landowner. So there is high tension between forest industry and between forest biodiversity conservation issues. And so we want to involve private landowners in biodiversity conservation, and how to do that. And the first step is to ask forest owners what are their needs, what are their concerns, how they could be involved. And so therefore we made survey for forest owners in order to understand their opinion. Then what we do, the second step was to understand what already mechanisms have in different other countries, to take best examples of those countries. And based on this information, we build our own pilot program for forest involvement. And very shortly about this survey, we organized a survey in 2021, several years ago, and we focused on those forest owners who already have land in protected areas, so who have experienced existing conservation approach, and also forest owners who have a forest with significant biodiversity values, for example, habitats of EU importance. Theoretically, those forests which we worth protect from biodiversity conservation view. And our results supported already previous findings that if the forest owner is dependent on forestry income, maybe works in this sector, usually also with forestry education, those forest owners who are dependent on forestry with larger properties, usually those are male respondents, they are more concerned about biodiversity conservation issues. However, those smaller properties also, those forest owners who are less dependent on forestry income, usually also female respondents, they are more positive towards different activities regarding biodiversity conservation. We also presented different types of possible restrictions for our forest owners and asked them, how do you see whether this restriction would make any problems for your forest management intentions? And when we asked, for example, if it's okay if forestry is prohibited totally, or if it's okay if clear cut is prohibited, then majority answered no, it's not okay with my intentions, with my way how I see forest management. But when we asked them for lighter restrictions, for example, no felling during bird breeding season, or preserving more ecological trees, more deadwood, then the majority replies, yes, it's acceptable. Of course, there are a lot of specifics, but in general, those lighter restrictions are quite accepted. And one important thing is that forest owners replied that they really need advisory service, which is based on-site consultations. That means that forest habitats or species expert visits them in their forest, goes, discuss it, see the most valuable places. So on-site consultations are really required. And also, of course, financial support, that those people who choose those biodiversity approaches do not have some economic losses. One more interesting thing that about communication channels, that our forest owners replied that for them, so we asked which information channels do you use when you make decisions regarding biodiversity conservation. And what was interesting that forest owners trust and follow more to forestry institutions, also not only regarding forestry issues, but also regarding biodiversity conservation issues. That means that forest biodiversity conservation topics should be integrated in the programs, in the educational systems of forestry, because these are people whom forest owners follow and trust more. Therefore, this is very important when we speak about communication strategies. And then when we have to build a pilot program, new approach for biodiversity conservation, it's very important to point out that not only ecological environmental goals should be taken into this process. We have to also focus on social and economic perspective, how those motivating mechanisms are suitable for forest owners. And also we have to analyze how much administration, how much funds we need in order to keep such systems. In the right side, you can see different combinations most often. For example, if we want to make a program good for environment and also that people are very happy about it, it usually costs a lot. If we just make some restrictions without funding, people are against it and are not involved. Sometimes it happens that program, so we have enough funds, we have happy forest owners, but if the ecological goals are not met, there is no sense of such system. Therefore, we have to balance all those different aspects, these and others, in order to make a reasonable conservation motivation system. And according to previous mentioned information, we built our own voluntary program as pilot program for our Latvian forest owners, which is contract based. So forest owner makes contract with Nature Conservation Agency for 4 years. Certain ecological criteria. We selected EU habitats and also forests which has reached at least 25 centimeter diameter of trees. And we provide them financial support and advisory support. And this pilot program is funded by LIFE program. So we entered into the contracts with 70 forest owners and we have 346 hectares of forest involved so far. And what's important that forest owners just not receive funding, but they also are interested involved in monitoring. So they go to their forest, follow what changes there, how many old trees are there, how many deadwood, trees with microhabitats. So they are participating in also this monitoring part, and such way get more and more information about their forest. And our financial support is related with two main factors, which is one is composition of tree species and also productivity of forest stand. And the last year, it was the first year, so the average compensation per hectare was about €200 per hectare. And here, just shortly, you can see that our pilot areas are across the whole country in different regions. We have forest owners who were interested to join such pilot program. And about the content of our pilot program. So we have three sub-programs: habitat conservation, habitat creation, and nature-friendly forest management. First two programs are really biodiversity focused. So first program, habitat conservation, focuses on EU habitats of EU importance. So it's a forest which is EU habitat, it's outside protected area, and forest owner is ready to totally use it for biodiversity conservation. So no harvesting for economic purposes. Habitat creation is the interesting part is that we have a lot of forest owners who do not have forest habitats of EU importance, but they say that they really would like to have one. So there is a program in our project that they make their forest stands more diverse, preserve and create more deadwood. There are additional some restrictions, but also this part is for making their forest habitat more diverse, and there is no also harvesting for economic purposes. But we understand that there are also forest owners who would like to continue forestry in their forest, but are ready also to do that in a way that as much as possible protect biodiversity. So we created this sub-program for those owners who choose extensive forestry, so they still can harvest, but do it in a quite way that significantly increase requirements of like average forestry in the country. So they have to protect oldest trees, largest additional deadwood. Logging is in order to mimic natural disturbances. So they have specific, again, requirements, but they continue forestry. So for different type of forest owners, different programs. And I can share just first year experience. So we know that forest owners are very different, but our forest owners more or less are biodiversity focused. We have different types of forests. Smallest is 0.3 hectares and largest is 15 hectares. If we compare to average forest stands in Latvia, then we have more elder and aspen forests than an average forest in Latvia. And also our forests are quite old. They significantly are over final felling age. And we have a lot of different types of habitats, but 90, 50, and so Western taiga, also book woodlands, swamp woods, we have different types of habitats. And so every forest is analyzed or monitored by owner himself, but also biodiversity expert in detail analysis every forest. And so we already see that there are a lot of rare and specially protected species in our forests. And already from first year experience, we see that there is very good perspective for this approach. People who are involved are very positive towards their experience so far. And of course, we will, and the thing we will do is we still have 3 years, but we are following the results from economic perspective. We will have also interviews and surveys with those forest owners who are participants. And so we have also clear social analysis, and we also, of course, make analysis from financial perspective for this. And we hope that this approach will lead us to improvement in our whole biodiversity system in Latvia, and will manage to integrate in the general system that forest owners who are very interested have a relevant, reasonable way how to be involved in biodiversity conservation process of Latvia. Thank you very much.